What's going on, mates? Teacher Manneh here, and welcome to another episode of Life Podcast. Here we talk about Jesus, his life, his teaching, and of course his ministry. But the most important thing is to know who he is to us and to know who we are to him. This is Life Podcast. Today in this podcast, we will be talking more about food. Previously, we have learned that the book of Genesis reminds us that God was the one who made food for us in the beginning, and that the very first thing that must occupy our minds, especially when dealing with food, are thoughts about God. Today we are going back to the book of Genesis chapter 1 verses 11 and 12. Here in these texts, we see God creating two kinds of vegetation, the plants and the fruit trees. These two are God's original diet designed for the human being. Remember, vegetation were created after God separated the land from the sea, Genesis chapter 1, 9 to 10, and before he created the sun, moon, and stars, Genesis chapter 1, 14 to 18. Of course, we all know that plants and trees will never survive without the sun. In science, we are told that plants and trees get their food, get their life from the sun. Without the sun or any light source somewhere, vegetation will not survive. Just imagine, during creation, when God created the plants and the trees, there was no sun, there was no source of food, there was no source of life. Where do you think did the plants and trees get their food? Where do you think did the plants and the trees get their life? Well, the Bible says that even before sun warmed the earth with its rays, even before they light up the world, there was this special light that God made. And we can read that in Genesis chapter 1 verses 3. And the Bible says, "And God said, let there be light." Well, the Bible is silent about where this light comes from. But I am sure that this light is no other than the divine presence of God. It is this divine presence that gives life and food to all vegetation. I believe that there is a reason why God created plants and trees before he created the sun. He wanted to tell us here that food and life comes only from him and not from any other created things. Man in the past would worship the sun, thinking that it has the power to either bring famine or plenty. But there was a time that there was no sun, especially when the first plants and trees were created. There was only the light of the world. And you know what, mates? This same light not only wanted to supply life and food for you and me, but desires to have a living and lasting relationship with you.